Looks like okay. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Global Chamber Sales Roundtable. We are so privileged and excited today to have Charles Bernard. He's a revenue growth strategist. So what better opportunity here? And it's going to be so interesting. He's going to talk to us about resources that we already have available and that we possess, and tell us about discovery-based selling and problem-solving matrix. And then we're going to delve into iCloud and AI discovery tools as we go. So my name is Connie Kadansky. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm the advisory board chair for the Phoenix chapter, and also the owner and founder of Exceptional Sales Performance. So here we are. And Doug, is there anything you want to say before we jump in?
I'll say just a couple words about Charles. I mean, he's amazing. I met him, I think for the first time, maybe as many as 5 years ago, but I got introduced to him and just so impressive. And one of the most impressive things, the structural aspects of the way he thinks about sales as rather than sales as buying. What is the buyer thinking about? And I just love that. And I think about that a lot, Charles, in terms of just that fundamental basic concept, which is so critically important to sales. Above and beyond that, you've gone way beyond that. And today I know you're going to be talking about that. So looking forward to the conversation. Thank you for your longtime support and collaboration. Just love what you're doing and look forward to today.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to be monitoring the chat so you can put questions in there as we go. And then Charles will answer questions at the end. So we always start on time. We'll end on at the top of the hour. So Charles, welcome. And we do have more people jumping on. So go for it.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Connie. And thank you, Doug, for that really warm introduction. I feel the same way. So Doug and I did meet in the time frame he said. I remember we went through COVID together. We dealt with a lot of issues, as all of us have. And the Global Chamber has been an amazing resource. I like to think of the Global Chamber, this from my personal perspective, not that I'm aligning with a grandiose vision or mission, but from my perspective, the Global Chamber gives me a lot of stimulation. One, I'm able to connect with fabulous people like Connie and some of the other people that I've met along the travels with the members, as well as get really great ideas. This is one of those great groups where it's not all about what lead do you have for me? Give me a lead, I'll get a lead. What can you do for me? Kind of a thing. It's more a shared learning, and that's what I hope to do today. So I'm gonna go into PowerPoint just because I want to streamline the conversation. I often think PowerPoint is helpful, and if you think this is going to be something you want to refer to, I'll make the slides available as well. So this is a picture of Manhattan. This is where I work, and also on this call is Elizabeth, who is a colleague of mine at Criteria for Success. And the two of us work in Manhattan. My place of work is right down there. You might not be able to see it, Freedom Tower, that little structure sticking out. I'm like a block away. I can see it now on out of my window. And Elizabeth is the complete other end of the spectrum. Then we've got people who work remotely all over the place. So we're going to talk about sales innovation. That's something that Connie and I planned on. I've done some thank yous, but again, I want to emphasize the prep that Connie did with me because she wanted to make sure this met a certain theme, and so hopefully I'll be able to do that. I'm going to ask, this is just a tip that I give people when they're working on webinars, etc., is this is a request. Keep your camera on so we get a sense of your body language and, just that you're present. Get involved, state your name when you share, that would be nice, and review the recording. So just a little bit of best practices for this. This is the agenda. We're going to cover 4 things. I'm just going to punch them all out. We're going to cover the problem opportunity matrix, which is an exercise we highly recommend if you have a company with a group. It doesn't have to be a big company. It could be a company of 3 or 3,000 or anything in between. We'll talk a little bit about a tool that we use with our clients that includes microlearning. We'll also talk about some new technology. This is something Connie had asked me, like, what's new? What do we got that's kind of hot right now? And then we'll do a real live AI case study so you can see how we can put AI to work. But before I move forward, I'm going to highlight that word. Doug kind of preempted me a little bit, like paved the way and planted a seed about the buyer. So discovery is a big word in sales. And what I would recommend everyone does here is think about practicing discovery-based selling. And then people raise their hand and go, what does that mean? Can you define it? The best way to define discovery-based selling is in the next slide. Is it better for buyers to be lectured on your value, or is it better for them to discover your value? And so I ask that question a lot in a lot of these talks that I give, and people are like, oh yeah, of course, it's obvious that discover value is the way to go. My question is, do you and I ever spend enough time thinking about why is it important? Why is it important that people discover our value versus what I would argue most salespeople do is, pull out the laundry list of credentials. We're the biggest, we're 3rd generation, we're fast growing, we can outbeat the competition. I'm like, really? That's what you think. It's what I think as a buyer that matters, not what you tell me. So just planting a seed that's what you want to do. We talked about this tool, and I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this. This is an exercise that is designed to transfer skill and knowledge. So if you're running an organization, again, an organization of 1 or 1,000, and you've got best practices in your head, or in many situations in an organization, other people have best practices in their head. Like you may have an employee in your company that's been with the company since the beginning, and you may have an employee who just started. This is week 1 of their employment in your company. So how does the new employee come up to speed with the employee who's been with the company 3, 5, 10 years or more? How does that happen? And what we often find is, well, I'll tell you what to do. Here's an example. Go check out this document, read this thing. It's all over the place. It's like, no one really is like, really? What am I doing? And then they go back on the day they started, Monday, to their spouse, and their spouse is like, so how was the first day on the job? What'd you think? And the employee's going, I'm not sure I made the right decision. These people are all over the place. They're like, I don't even know where to start. They're like, you sell, right? You know how to sell. Don't you know how to sell? Yeah, well, go sell. Go do it. Well, where do I get the leads? Like, what's the system that I need to use? Does anyone have any best practices? Where's the product knowledge? Oh, you'll come up to speed with that. That's okay. You'll just catch up. So I know I'm over dramatizing it, but I would argue that's not so far from the truth. I see a couple of head nods on the screen. That's why it's nice to have your cameras on, by the way. So I can see people are sort of going, yeah, that makes sense. So what I'm going to request is that you carefully consider a way of bringing veterans, people who have been with the organization not that long, but a while, and brand new people. And if you put them together in the room and you start asking the fundamental questions like, what are we selling? What do we do? Why are people buying from us? What is our value proposition? If that's not a well-facilitated conversation, I would argue you'll get a million different answers. Well, we do this other thing. We've been doing this for a while. How about this other idea? So what I'm suggesting is that you consider a tool that will organize all that thinking and knowledge transfer for you. And so before I do that, I know I got something in the chat, so let me just see what that is. Love that question. Me too. Thanks, Connie. So before I show you the tool, I want to put it in a context so we understand why we're doing this. So I'm going to argue if you're a selling organization or you're generating revenue and profit, you're going to have buyers. There's no company out there that says, no, we don't have buyers. The stuff just sells itself. So I would argue you don't have a business then. So what I would say is buyers need, and I'm talking about a B2B company, and people go, can you define that? What's a consultative sell where you're solving problems? And believe it or not, some companies don't want to solve problems, but I'd say they're in the minority. I would say most companies are solving problems. So if you have a buyer, the first thing you want is to name problems. What are we solving for? The second is buyers connect with problems. That's a fancy term, and I want to make it simple by saying the best way to connect with problems is through active listening. Active listening is very simple. You start with, oh, you have a broken supply chain. Tell me more. Yeah, well, COVID hit us and Amazon's got all the market and we can't get containers and the supply chain's terrible. What am I doing as a salesperson? I'm making a ton of notes. What did you do to fix it? Well, we hired a consulting firm, paid him $100K, didn't give us what we expected, $100K, making notes. So I'm gathering a lot of information by having the buyer connect using these active listening questions. And the last thing that drives salespeople crazy, they run away in fear, is to be able to represent their solution as an investment, not as a cost. So what do I mean by that? Well, if your buyer perceives your solution as something they have to peel out of their budget, that they have to give you $100K, they've now lost $100K out of their budget. That's a very disempowering way of organizing that discussion. If, on the other hand, that buyer says, I pay you $1 and I get back $5, I'm buying all day long. There's no way I'm not going to buy because it's an investment. And so what terrifies salespeople is they're like, well, I don't know how to quantify ROI. Well, ask people, what does success look like? What are your expectations? And as you do that with a lot of buyers, you start to discover that you can talk about investment because they're telling you. That's the buy side. The seller side need to ask good questions so they can uncover problems, discuss solutions. And if you want to really practice discovery-based selling, tell stories. You know, like we have a client just like you, had the same problem. This is what we did. And we increased sales by 30%. Just out of interest, anyone who heard that story, what did you remember? Anybody?
The number.
The number. So every story should have a number, ideally, because then you can quantify it. This is what we do for knowledge transfer. We ask people to do, because what we say is, have you written down 20 best questions to ask? Have you written down the 20 problems you solve? Have you written down the 20 solutions? And have you written down the 20 stories? Do you have a library of stories? And people are like, no, we've never done that. And I'm like, why have you not done that? And they're like, well, we don't have time. Well, if you took the time, you might discover that by organizing into those 4 categories, questions, problems, solutions, and stories, you can, especially if you do this in a group setting, begin to facilitate all that knowledge and skill that you have in an organization. And the tool that I'm talking about is what we call the problem opportunity matrix. And we have an example here. My Fathom pane is showing and blocking part of the presentation. Okay. So let's see if I can get rid of it. That go away?
Yes.
Great. So what am I showing you here? What I'm showing you is that you want to start this conversation, you want to do 20 rows. And people are like, well, how long does that take? Well, if you do it in a group, 8 hours, that's how long it takes, about 8 hours. Do we do it all at once? No, that's exhausting. I would have you do it in 2-hour blocks. So it'll take you 4 sessions to do it. And what I want you to notice is that the features are the hardest thing to do. So I would write down 20 features in a column like this and make them sound unique, because the moment you make them sound unique, that buyer is immediately curious. Like, I've heard of echo compliant. I have no idea what multi-echo compliant means. I've heard of ultra safe. I have no idea what multi ultra safe is. So stick your company name in front of the feature, and that's a cheat. That's a quick way to make your feature sound unique. And then you've got to go across. Once you've done this, go across with a group and say, what is the benefit of that feature? So in this case, Volti Lightning fast charging. The problem's always the opposite of the benefit. So if fast charging is the benefit, the problem is slow charging, interrupting workflows. That's the problem. You'd be amazed, as easy as this is rolling off my tongue for me to tell you this, when you're in a group setting, people are like, is there a better way to say that feature? Is that a real problem? How do we keep this down to 10 words or less? Because if we're going to put it on our website or send it in an email, maybe we should have 10 words or less so that our reader can parse this information quickly. That takes time, because what people tend to do is they give you a whole wishy-washy story. Well, maybe it's this and that and the other. And someone like a facilitator is going to say, is there a more succinct way to say that? Think about what's happening in your organization as you're beginning to build this document. What's happening is people are starting to transfer skills. And you could say, how do we ask a problem to expose a question to expose that problem? Could you share more about your struggles with whatever the problem is? Can you please describe whatever the problem is? And there on the right is your story. And people are going to go, I don't have a story, but you know, Connie, you must have a story because you worked with that client. You got a story? And Connie's like, yeah, I got a story. Well, can we get it from 2 minutes long to 30 seconds? Can we distill that story? Because people don't want to listen to a story that lasts 2 minutes. They want to listen to a story that's an anecdote. So when you've done all of this, and there's 20, you can't use this on a sales call, because it's just too much information to process, but it gets you to the next thing, which is critical. This is a breakthrough we've discovered with our clients. You take that column of all the problems, after you've done this exercise, you'll have a list of 20. You'll pick what are the 9 to 11, that's usually the amount that will fit on a screen, that you think of that inventory of 20 problems that the person you're selling to will resonate the most. And watch this. You create a screen and it will say something like this. Each one of you will have your own version, but this is Volticore's version. And we've got 9 problems. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to role play in real time how this works. I'm selling to Doug. Doug and I have done a little bit of chit-chatting at the beginning of the call. Hey, how you doing? How's Arizona? It's really hot. Oh, global warming. Great, great. And then we get down to business. And I'm, instead of saying, hey, Doug, by the way, we're the best and the brightest, and we do sales training better than anybody else on the planet, in which case he's now looking at his iPhone and totally dismissed me. What I'm going to say instead is, Doug, would you mind looking at this screen and tell me which one of these resonate the most? Now, I want everyone else on this call to think, what miracle will happen if Doug is cooperative, which hopefully he is, like most people are, and he's going to go, number 3, unacceptable overheating, number 6, difficulty with troubleshooting, and number 8, poor power monitoring. He's just identified the first thing the buyers, if you remember, we want. He's identified 3 problems. And so what am I going to do? Hey, Doug, I got a solution for you. Let me sell. No, I'm going to go, Doug, tell me more. Tell me more. And he's going to go, well, we tried this and we tried this other thing. And did it work? No, not really. That's why we're talking to you. Oh, okay. And I'm making a ton of notes, right? So this is selling. How long did it take to get here? You want to wait 2 hours before you bring up this slide? Or do you think it might be an idea to bring up this slide kind of right away? So they're telling you where they want to go. They will tell you where they want to be sold. let's talk about micro-learning and achieving goals, because now we're into the sort of knowledge AI piece. But before I move on, does anyone have any comments or questions they want to put in the chat? Just real fast. Hopefully this is resonating with some people. Kind of easy, right? So we want to help people achieve goals, because before we talk about generating profit, generating revenue, how much profit do you want? I don't know, whatever we can get is not usually a good answer. What we're looking for is, well, we made this much last year, we want to increase it by 10%, 20%. Excellent. How much revenue do you want to make? What are your goals? What do the rest of the company have goals? So accountability and goal setting is a big issue. And so what we recommend are these 5 practices. One is schedule goals into your calendar and review them, because a lot of people set goals and then they don't know if they have the time to do the goals, or they don't know when they're doing the goals. So connecting your calendar and your goals is one thing. Typically, goals in an organization starts with the CEO. So Connie runs a company, she's the CEO, and she says, I want revenue to be this, I want profit to be this, I want this many new clients, we're going to sell this new AI product. Oh, we're selling a new AI product. Yeah, I want to sell $5 million worth of that. So she's setting the goals for the company. And then number 3, goals must be aligned. I'm the VP of sales. If I don't know what the company goals are, I'm out on an island doing whatever I feel like doing. So now Connie's set goals. I'm the VP of sales. I'm basically making sure my goals align with Connie's goals. And guess what? I have a sales team, 3 salespeople. Their goals should align to my goals, which align to the company goals. I'm head of marketing. Should my goals align to Connie's goals? Yes, yes. I'm head of operations. How about my goals? They should align to the company goals, because you've got to deliver that profit and revenue. I'm selling it, but someone in operations delivering it. We all need to be on the same page. Goal apps are critical. So we think writing goals down on a piece of paper might be one way to do things, but I can't share that piece of paper easily with other people. I don't know if my goals are the right goals. My manager may want to see my goals. So we think an app that monitors all of that is really important. And that leads us to AI. Prior to AI, we had really fancy apps, lots of ways of tracking goals, but we've discovered that AI can actually do a really good job of helping us with our goals and keeping us on target so that we maintain accountability. And we're going to show you how to do that. So we have an app, it's called Calavia, and we're using a demo account. So I'm going to log in as Jane Hurst, who is the CEO of this demo account. And you'll see that I can do a whole bunch of things. I'll come back to some of that, but I'm just going to show you the goal setting piece. And I promise you, I'll show you AI as well. But before we do that, I want to show you everything I just talked about, how it fits in to a good goal setting set of practices. Number 1, because I'm the CEO, I can now look at all the team goals, right? So I've got my individual goals, and then I want to look at the sales teams, and I want to look at the operations teams, and I want to look at the marketing teams. You get the drill, right? And then they're all in different statuses, different periods. 2024 means it was set for the year. We've got weekly goals, we've got monthly goals. Each person has their goals, and then we can filter and organize it all up here. But this is where I want to show you how AI can help. So we're now in the AI section for goal setting. And I am Jane, the CEO, and I'm going to ask the AI to suggest some goals. And the AI is going to go, great, you want me to suggest some goals? Well, give me some context. Where am I suggesting goals? Like, oh, okay, so I'll give you some context. My role as CEO, I want you to look at my 2024 January goals that I've accomplished, but I want you to make sure that we have consistency. I'd like you to look at my February goals And I'd like you to look at my March goals because I've set goals for March. And now what I'm doing is I'm in week 1 of March. Hey, can you help me with some goals? So I'm going to put down what's the period that I want help with. So I'm in 2024 and week 10 is the first week in March. So I'm telling the AI, check my January goals, my February goals, my March goals, and set goals for this week. And therefore the AI, when you click generate, is going to think about it. And look what it just did. The AI has returned a bunch of goals. I can say, oh, I love those goals. I'll take all of those. Or I might say, well, this one's important. I kind of already have a goal on sales efficiency. I don't need that. I definitely want to focus on reducing costs. I want to identify potential risks, and I want to evaluate customer feedback. And therefore, I'm going to tell the AI that I'm doing this for week 10 again, because I could change my mind, but I'm going to stay consistent and say, okay, week 10, 2024, please generate those goals. Boom. AI says, are you sure you want to do this? Yeah. Then I go back to my goals. And what we should see now is when we look at the period for the week that I just generated all those goals, it's generated these goals for me. And I can filter them. So I can say, well, just show me week 10 that I just set all those goals for. We have a little asterisk that shows the AI generated those goals, because I could also go in and add my own goal, right? I don't have to take all the AI goals. So what have we just accomplished? What we've just accomplished is that AI can parse my goals for the year, my goals for any period of time. I can give it 3 periods, and I can do this all the way down the chain. I can say, look at my boss's goals for these periods. What should my goals be? And I'm actually going to show you another way of doing that with the AI. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into how you can start at the top, because a lot of people are talking about AI, about how do I get more leads? How do I sell more in AI? What do I say to this email? I'm not denying that that's valuable. I'm just saying that that's very low level use of AI, that no one's thinking, very few people are thinking at the top. Before I get into what tools should I use, what are my goals? Where do I want the company to go? Can AI help me set those goals? Yes. We have in development, I just wanted to show you that that was just one aspect. We have in development, learn from my past performance, align my teams. What I said, I'm in this team, I need to align. Give me feedback, suggest tasks and to-dos. What's my weekly calendar look like? How do I improve? All of these performance things are all part of what we call accountability. The AI is only going to give you what you tell it to give you. So if you're focusing AI on what I think is the most important first step, is setting goals, improving goals, attaining goals, coaching you on goals, keeping you efficient, time management, before we get into all the, how do I use LinkedIn better? And how do I use this other tool better? All of that stuff is important. But if you don't have the proper context established, I don't think it's as useful or as helpful. If we go back to the PowerPoint, I now want to show you new technology, kind of what Connie was excited about with me. Like, give me some new stuff. What do you got? Okay, we'll give you some new stuff. So we now recommend that you use what we call a strategy hub. So again, thinking high level, when you're creating revenue and profit, I'm going to argue, especially if you're in an organization, that it's not just sales that contributes to profit. What do you mean? What do I mean? Well, if sales is only contributing to profit, I can quite easily say, I'm head of sales, we hit our number, But operations that's supposed to deliver what we sold is delivering inefficiently. It's costing 10 times more than I want it to deliver what we sold. So could you not argue that operations is part of profit? Check. What about marketing? Is marketing part of profit and revenue? Well, marketing is giving us leads. Marketing is branding, messaging, telling the world what our value proposition, so it makes it easier to sell. Check that box. What about human resources? Never thought that human resources would contribute to profit. How can it not contribute to profit? You're dealing with people. Human resources is going to hire those people, develop those people, help those people grow. Check that box. And lastly, finance. Do we want finance involved? Yes, I'll tell you why. Because back to the VP. The VP is like, hit all our targets. Boss, you said we need to do 10 million this year. We sold 10 million. And then finance knocks on that VP's door and says, yeah, you sold 10 million. Do you know how much profit we made? Negative 2 million. We lost money. Oh, well, I did my job. I sold. Yeah, but if we're not all coordinated, and so we want to be able to, what we call create strategies in 5 areas: prospecting to get business, selling to close business, support. How's the rest of the organization, all those examples I gave you, supporting and contributing to that effort? System, like what systems? We're talking AI, we've got a bunch of systems. How are we using that? And team is, how's the whole team working collaboratively to generate revenue and profit? So if we go to the prospecting tab, we can see prospecting AI tools. This is the stuff that everyone thinks is sexy. And I kind of think, yeah, it's okay, but it's kind of like low level, but it's good. So I'm giving you 12 AI tools to generate leads, lead feeder, Zoom. Some of these you've heard. You can, each one of these is a link, and I've got a special document that I can give you that has all of this. But I want to show you a couple of new tools, stuff that we think is really cool. So this guy was on a podcast with Elizabeth. We do podcasts. By the way, if anyone's interested on going on a podcast, we have about, what are we up to a month, Elizabeth, in terms of listeners? She doesn't know. All right, I'm going to tell her. It's about 30,000 a month is what we're up to. So what we've discovered is that we meet some really interesting people. And Elizabeth met this guy who was one of the founders of Salesforce. He created a really cool tool, and it's called Connect the Dots. I'm a user, Elizabeth's a user. Something to let everybody know, this tool is free. Let me say that again, no cost for an individual, free. What the tool does is it connects all your email. So in my case, I got 5 years of email, as long as I know Doug Bronke, of email, 5 years. And it's gone through that. It took a long time, so I let it run overnight. And it took all my email and it went through all my LinkedIn connections. And that took about an hour. Chug, 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 chug. And then it started connecting them. And it started to say, all these people that you've totally forgotten about who are on LinkedIn are doing this, doing that, and you should maybe reach out to them. It's already given me 5 leads. These are the warmest of warm leads that you can use. So I can go to companies and it'll start telling me companies and companies I'm connected with, Vistage. Some of you may have heard of these people, and it'll rank the rating as strong connections versus weak connections. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy, Ralph, I haven't spoken to him forever. Or I could come at it from a different perspective by looking at LinkedIn and saying, here, he's a strong connection. What's really cool is I have a side panel that will tell me all the career overlaps, emails I've sent, activity. I can go into LinkedIn, send an email. So it's basically keeping what I would consider my warm leads warm. No, I don't want any warm leads, thank you. I just want cold leads. I just want to go out there and go sell to people I don't know. Okay, knock yourself out. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But in my world, I want to be around people who are likely to respond to me. And so that's what I call a warm lead. We also have another tool that we think is really cool. And that is, let's go back to Calabria. And that is posting on LinkedIn. So this is my friend, Joe Applebaum. And what Joe has is a really cool tool. You guys should be all over this. He basically has so this is all my activity. So when you see someone posting, so I go to my friend Brian, and somewhere in here, I can see what he's posting. I'm not that great at LinkedIn. Elizabeth's a lot better than me. So posting, his activity, right? So when I see, let me go to my home and show you a little differently. So my stream of people who have posted, Jay Hammonds, I love this guy. So Jay, and I'm following him and I want to comment. So I open up a comment and here's the tool, Evi AI. Click on this and I can generate a comment. I can say, I want to encourage a debate, or I want the comment to just provide value. I want my tone to be sarcastic, friendly, innovative. I like this guy, so we're friends. And I want to say, great post, keep coming, and it's going to generate a post for me. And what it'll do is literally create the entire post.
Oh my gosh.
Completely agree. That great customer journeys, it's referencing his post. It's amazing how much we can learn, blah, blah, blah. I'm actually gonna, why not? Why not post that, right? So I could literally post that if I wanted to. And so if I don't like it, I can do a regenerate, but I'm gonna insert it. And I can parse it one more time, post, done. So I can also use this tool to generate new posts and I can schedule them. So if I want to generate 10 posts, give me on this topic, AI and selling. I'm not going to show it to you now because it takes a while to crunch that. It's a little more brain power. I can post those, schedule those. I can do them all like send this post tomorrow, send this post the next day. All of this stuff is what the world is doing right now. It's what the world is doing. So the world is living on LinkedIn. People are sending posts, people are commenting on posts, and LinkedIn is ranking your activity to put you at the top of the chain. And that's what everyone wants, right? They want clicks and stuff like that. So that's just 2 tools out of about 100 that I'm showing you here in Calabria. We have tools for, so we're back to the strategy hub. In each of these categories, I'm giving you best practice tools. So selling AI tools. So these are tools for actually selling. So one's getting leads. These are Sales Loft you've heard of, Einstein by Salesforce. You can click on all of this stuff, right? So we're just suggesting that you organize your selling in a certain way so that you can keep your entire organization, even if it's just you keep all those activities in what I consider to be those 5 critical strategy areas: prospecting, selling, support system, team. All right, I'm going to do the case study and then we'll move on. And please, yes, please put your questions in the chat. So we're going to go to the PowerPoint and we're going to do the AI case study. So what I've done here is I've created a bunch of documents in Google Doc, and I'm going to actually highlight that now, and I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm going to put this entire document, if it'll let me, in the chat for everyone. Okay, so everyone now has access to this document. So what's in this document? This document has all the stuff I just showed you, like all these tools that you can, especially those last two, connect the dots and Evie AI, which I think you guys might want to check into. In each of the 5 areas I described, so in a way, this is kind of like your playbook. And then I'm going to show you how we can use AI. So remember, we talked about annual goals. So I'm a CEO, I'm setting my annual goals. Now watch, I can actually do this with AI. In red is the query. I will provide a series of queries to you after this. So just take this information about my goals for the company and hold on. So I go into AI. I'm going to create a new chat. We'll use the fast AI, which is a little less intelligent, but it's pretty fast. And I'm going to put in that. Oops, I didn't do that. So let me do the copy again. Now I'm copying that, all that information, and I'm saying stand by. And it said, okay, I'm here to help. I'm waiting. What do you got? I got all the goals. Now what do you want to do? So now I go back to the document, and I'm going to put in my first query. I'm a VP of sales. What should my annual goals be that align with the goals I just set, that my company set? Break out my department's closed sales by quarter. What should the number be? What should my pipeline be? And how should I deal with goals 3, 4, 5, and 6? Goals 3, 4, 5, and 6 were expand our client base, forge partnerships, implement a benefits package. Okay, so now we're going to go in and we're going to submit this query to the AI. And by the way, give me the answer in short bullet points, please. So now we go to the AI, feed it in. Don't tell me this isn't helping you. Like, you could copy this into a Word document and modify it, but look what it's saying. It's saying annually, here's what your quarter breakdown should be, 2.5, 2 divided equally, which is what I said. It's going to say, okay, this is what your pipe, if you want to be profitable, so that's your revenue number, that's your profit number. If you want to expand your base, here's some suggestions for doing that. Partnerships, 5 million in annual revenue, do these things, do these other things. So it's giving you like literally a set of tasks and goals for the year that you could then put into your goal setting module that we just showed you. Now we're going to go back to the document. I'll be wrapping up shortly. Now I'm a salesperson. Okay, we did the VP of sales. Now I'm a salesperson. What should I be doing in January? And can you break it out by week? We submit that. And it's now telling me by week what I should be focused on throughout January. And it's got like a little recommendation. And then one more I want to show you, because we could go on. I'm VP of marketing, etc. But this is my favorite. I'm a salesperson, analyze my pipeline. This is my pipeline. I'm going to show it to you because it's a little, I copied it into this document. It's not so clear. So think of a pipeline. Just reported this pipeline out of Salesforce. It's a $1.5 million pipeline. It has 20 deals. They're all at different probabilities, different revenues, different things going on. And I've literally take that and copy it into a Google Doc, my Google Doc here. And I'm now saying, analyze my pipeline. What should I be working on? Here's my pipeline. I'm giving it to you. Goes a little slow, so I'm going to do that again. My computer's a little slow, but I'm going to take my entire pipeline. Google will let me. Okay. So analyze my pipeline. I'm going to submit this query with the pipeline included. And then I'm going to feed it. This time, I'm going to do a new chat because I want the heavyweight ChatGPT. There's a little more heavy lifting to analyze my pipeline. Make sure the query's set up. There it is. Let's see what chat does. Week 1 is Vision Tech. It's at the prospecting stage with 10% probability and a close date. You should be doing these different things. This is medium priority, so low priority, medium priority, high priority. It's breaking it all out by week. So again, you could take this output and you could either put that into your gold module, but I don't have time now, but I could do another query that says, how do I report my activity to my boss? I'm behind on this deal. What do you suggest I do? So can we begin to see that the AI is literally more than just the link needs permission. Okay, we'll send you a link that doesn't have permission. We'll have to get that from you. Elizabeth, how do I give everybody permission? Any ideas?
I'll show you how to do that after. Don't worry about it now.
Well, how do they get it? Because once we close the Zoom, how are they going to be able to access it?
You click share at the top right.
Top right,
Light
share.
blue.
Yeah. Getting all the Zoom stuff out of the way. Okay. Yeah, Zoom,
Yeah.
Google's being really slow. I don't know
It's
why.
frozen. I think we could send it to Connie after and she could share it out though.
Okay, Connie, can you do that? If people wanna-
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
will.
All right, so that's
Mhm.
it. That's the presentation. I know we covered what seems like quite a lot of ground, but I would love to hear any feedback or any thoughts.
Oh, Charles, thank you. Now we know why he is a #1 favorite in the Vistage group throughout the US. So thank you. And then I just want to put out there, we all want everybody to get into action. And I am happy to facilitate a group that we come together and we work on the problem solving opportunity matrix for each other. So if you're interested in that, and we'll do it within the next week or two, email me and I'm putting my email in here and then I'll let you know. So who all would be interested in working on that first document? Andrea, yes. Okay, so email Gabriella, Sarah. Okay, good. And let's open it up for who has questions for Charles. And I'm just so grateful. I mean, Charles, I'm like, oh my goodness, I never heard of some of those tools. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Connie. Thanks for the opportunity to take the time to show you these things. We're very excited.
Andrea, go ahead. She has a question.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, that was just mind-blowing. And I just love it. And I can see so many ways that this is a powerful tool for clients. One question I have, I was going through another group meeting like this with a LinkedIn specialist. And one of the things that people on LinkedIn are facing is a lot of suspicion that you're now facing a bot, because these bots are, hey, Andrea, I'd love to connect with you. And they get very, they try to be personal. And so there's a lot of suspicion. And I know for myself, I'm just like, not sure about that. Don't go there. Don't go there. So when you're looking at how to use these AI posting tools to come and post on LinkedIn, what is your thought about that and solution to creating posts that are not bot suspicious?
Andrea, that's a wonderful question. Elizabeth and I ask ourselves the same thing, because there's got to be, I think, a genuine authenticity about your posts. And so why am I using the AI? Well, if I want to be a real cut corners type of a guy, I'm just going to post whatever the AI tells me, but I don't like to do that. So here's what I recommend. First off, you can usually see who's being lazy with AI. AI has a dead giveaway. Anything that you see that has a bunch of asterisks, you may not have noticed it, but when you copy from chat into a document, it carries over formatting, and it's usually hashtags and asterisks. Now, for me, the very first thing I do, just as an etiquette, is I have a macro in Word that I've created that literally looks for all those asterisks and all those hashtags, and I click Control N, that's what I use, and it gets rid of all of that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I copy, so I showed it to you like this, but generally speaking, I go to the extra step of copying what the AI generated, like Control A, putting it into Word, strip off all the formatting, and then I change it. What the AI is doing for me is it's put me on a path of introducing topics and ideas that some I accept, some I don't, but it gets me thinking. And that's what I use AI primarily for, as opposed to just posting for the sake of posting. Because I think it's really important that we all decide for ourselves, what are we being responsible for? Are we being responsible for just polluting the world with a lot of bot garbage? Or are we being responsible for using the bot, but still making sure that we take responsibility for the content? And if we do post that content, at least agree with it, change it, or disagree with it. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And then also with that tool that goes through your emails and brings up the LinkedIn connections, if we're posting on people that we've conferred with before, that gives it authenticity and so that we're not just throwing it out there, right? And so we're actually posting and they know who we are, or they know that they've had a connection with us.
I'll go
Yes.
one step further, Connie, and just say, because actually Elizabeth was the one who turned me on to this, because she had Drew on her podcast, because Elizabeth does all our podcasts. And, we're always looking for interesting people. We've had authors, we've had people on gratitude, we've had people on all kinds of different topics that really matter to people in business. And when he introduced this, for years, you're going to laugh, this was an old sales training technique I've been using. And anyone who's worked with me for years will know exactly what I'm about to say. I would say if you want to generate the warmest leads ever, take your email and sort it by inbox, and all the senders are together. So all the Connies come together, all the Andrews come together. And I will go through my email, sometimes a year, 2 years in the past, and go, oh my God, Andrea, I need to talk to her. Oh, Connie, I haven't spoken to forever. This tool does that, but it does it with that extra layer of laying in LinkedIn. And so now when I see a post, I'll give you an example. Someone at WebMD, we did a lot of business with, says, I'm celebrating my 20 years. I'm so happy to be at WebMD. And you know what happened? First of all, I knew who that person was. And 3 or 4 people commented on that post. So happy to hear that you still love WebMD. Great job. Congratulations. Good for you. And I'm like, Amy, John, Peter, William, I know all these people. And the connect the dots gave me a little pen on it, showed me the last time I emailed them, that these are all warm leads. Why would I ever want to go hit a brick wall trying to get cold leads to respond when I've probably got a mountain of 1,000 people that I've just lost touch with? And this thing's that's why I call it connect the dots. It's bringing it all back.
Yes. Thank you. Who else has a question? Doug, do you have a question?
Is the app actually called Connect the Dots, or is it something else?
Elizabeth, do you know?
Yeah, it's called Connect the Dots. It's ctd.ai.
Got it.
And that link is in the Google Doc that we will share to everybody after. But
And the good news is it's free for an individual. I think if you're a company or an enterprise and you want to have like an enterprise license, there's a fee. But if you're like us on this call and you're doing a lot of your own lead generation, it's free.
Wow. Connie, we have another Globinar that's starting in a couple minutes, so I'm definitely going to need to go.
Okay.
Found out that it is on a different link, but I think you like to finish on time, don't you?
Yes, we do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So get with me if you want to work on your problem opportunity matrix, Connie at Exceptional Sales. And then next month on October 4th, we're going to have a conversation about the 3 types of yeses that salespeople get: the counterfeit, the confirmation, and the committed. And we're going to work into breakouts and really get good at getting those committed yeses instead of the counterfeit. So, Charles, I am just thrilled for today, and I know that Global Chamber will get this recording up ASAP. And we will make sure that everybody that is on the call will get that Google Doc. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.